Hello there everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, Lessons with Guitar Man. My name's Aaron and I'll be your designated driver here today for this great song, Hangman's Reel. Now I've been listening to this song for years off the great CD, Bluegrass Guitar by Bryan Sutton. What a fantastic recording this is. The other day I was sitting in my room thinking about what I could do for my next lesson and I heard this come on Spotify and I was like, you know what, I'm going to learn that song, chart it out, and go ahead and record it for all of you so you can learn it too. Now this song is not an easy tune, there's 4 parts in it. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. It's definitely going to be a lot of work, but if you take your time, learn it part by part, I think you'll be able to learn it, and it'll be one heck of a tune that you could add to your repertoire. Let's go ahead and dive right in there and see what makes this thing work. One thing I'd like to point out real quick, this song is in the key of A. I have a capo on the 2nd fret, and we'll be playing out of the G position. So at the very beginning here, you're going to see a triplet, and it's going to be an open, 2, 4. Alright, in measure number 1, we have an open, 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 4, 2, open, 2, 5. Now a lot of you are going to say, whoa, why did I grab that C note way up here when I could have grabbed it right here? Well, I don't know. I played through this song a bunch of ways where I put the C here and I put the C here, but for whatever reason, when I was playing it just seems like for me, it worked better to grab the C up here. So I charted this thing out with using the C here, but if you decide you want to use this one, that's totally legit too. But I'm going to teach it here using your pinky finger going up to the 5th fret. So again, back to measure number 1, you're going to have open, 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 4, 2, open, 2, 5. So 1, 2, ready, go. Okay. And moving on to measure number 2, you're going to have 4, 2, open, 4, 2, open, 2, open. 4, 2, open, 4, 2, open, 2, open. 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, and moving on to measure number 3, we're going to have an open, 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 4, 2, open, 2, 5. Now the good thing about measure number 3 is it's exactly the same as measure number 1, so there's nothing new to learn there. And moving on to measure number 4, we're going to have a 4, 2, open, 4, 2, which is exactly the same as measure number 2, but at the very end there, we're going to add that little pickup line that was at the beginning of this song, going open, 2, 4. Okay, so the whole thing from the pickup line through the 4th measure is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, now moving on to the 5th measure. What we're going to see here is the 5th measure is exactly the same as the 1st measure, so there's nothing new to learn there. The 6th measure is exactly the same as the 2nd measure, so there's nothing new to learn there. However, when we get to the 7th measure, there is a new run here, and that's going to go like so. So you got open, 2, open, 3, pull off. So, alright, so open, 2, open, 3, pull off, 2, open, 2. So the whole measure number 7 is going to sound like so. Okay, and then going on to our first ending here, you're going to have an open, 2, pull off, 2, 3. And then we're going to use that pickup line again, that open 2, 4, to get back to the beginning of the A section again. So the whole measure number 8, or the first ending, is going to sound like. Alright, and the second ending there is going to be almost virtually the same as the first ending, except instead of doing the pickup at the end, the open 2, 4, we're going to do an open 4. Okay? So let's go ahead and play through the A part all the way through, and we'll move on to the B part. So 1, 2, ready, go. Now moving on to the B part here, the B part is actually not too bad. We're just going to be repeating the same little repeater around thing, and it goes like so. So measure number 10 at the beginning of the B part is, and that's going to be 3, 4, open, 4, 3, open, 4, open. Now, what I do in this particular section when I'm playing through this song is I kind of leave my middle finger here down on the D note here on the B string and play through this, and it kind of goes like this. Okay? So that's how I do it. Now, you don't have to do it that way, but I found it to be easier, especially when we transition to the C part. But if you don't do it, it would look something like... something like that, okay? But I like to keep my finger down here, and it's going to go like so. So measure number 10 is going to sound like so. Alright, then measure number 11 is going to sound like so. 2, open, 2, 4, 2, open, 2, open. And then moving on to measure number 12, what you're going to see here is measure number 12 is exactly the same as measure number 10. So there's nothing new to learn there. And then measure number 13, we do have a little bit of a different string of notes going on here, and that's going to be 2, open, 2, 4, open, open, 4. Okay? So the whole B section going from measure 10 through measure number 13 is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. Now the second ending, the only thing that changes there are the last couple notes there. It's going to be 2, open, 2, 4, open, 2, 4, open. Moving on to the C part now. So the C section is entirely over the 5 chord, or the D in this case. And it's just really neat the way it kind of builds up, and it goes like so. The first thing I'd like to point out, at least the way I play it, is I keep the middle finger down here and hold that the whole time, especially in this section, because, and you'll see why as I do these hammer-ons and move around. It's sort of like I'm doing this sort of number here, moving in like a spider and keeping this one on top, and it makes it real easy to play through this section if you leave your finger there. And measure number 15 goes like so. 1, 2, so 3, open, hammer on 2, you've probably done that before. Little D chord here, hammer and open G onto that A note. Okay. And then you do a little hammer on there. So one more time. 1, 2, ready, go. And moving on to measure number 16, we're going to have a 3, 2, 4, 2, open, 2, open. 3, 2, 4, 2, open, 2, open. All right, now this is going to make more sense if I play it in conjunction with measure number 15. So at the beginning of the C part, it's going to be 1, 2, ready, go. So there's a little bit of a syncopation in there. So if you listen, it's going to be 1, 2, ready, go. So that note on the 3 in measure number 16 is an upstroke, and it's so measure number 17 is going to sound like so. It's almost the same as measure number 15, but you got a hammer. But here you're going to go from 3 and slide to 4, up to 3 to 4, or up to 3. So that's measure number 17. Measure number 18 is going to be so 4, open, 2, open, 2, open. All right. So playing through the first 4 measures of the C part is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. Now moving on to the measure number 19, you're going to have one more time. And measure number 20 is exactly the same as measure number 16. Alright, now moving on to measure number 21, we're going to have this neat little 2 with a drone and D underneath, and then a 4 with a drone and D underneath. Alright, and that's going to go like so. 2, drone, 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 4, drone, drone. So 2, open, 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 4, open, open, and then a slide from here on the 4th fret to 5. Alright, so that whole measure is going to sound like so. Alright, and measure number 22, or the last measure of the C part, is going to sound like so. So C note is the most important note of this little run right here. Now I'd like to stress that in this particular section, this measure number 22 is the most important string of notes in the whole thing, because the last bit, or part D, or the 4th part of this song, getting from this part to that part was the thing that gave me the most problems, if you will, in going from this, and then you get into this, that thing. But what happens here is you go, I would just practice that run over and over again until you have that in your head to where it's just a mechanical thing that you do, because it's, and then this next run starts on the B, and it's just, for whatever reason, that gave me a hard time. You may end up getting it real easy. I had a hard time with it, so I would spend a little extra time with that. Okay, now let's go ahead and play through the last line of this, the last 4 measures of the C part. All right, well, take a deep breath. We've only got one part left, and that final part, or the D part, is actually not that bad. What we have here is a repeating motif that we do over and over again, and then repeat the section twice. and there's a couple little runs in there that you have to learn. I think there's 2 or 3 little runs in there, and it's very reminiscent of a lot of tunes, kind of like Boston Boy and Monroe's Hornpipe and Fisher's Hornpipe. It has that real repeating string of notes thing kind of going on in there, and you'll recognize it right away. And here's what it sounds like. So measure number 23 is 2, 3, open, 2, 3, 2, open, 3. All right, so again, that's 2, 3, open, 2, 3, 2, open, 3. So one more time. All right, there you go. And what we do with that now is repeat that on measure 23, 24, 25, but at the end of measure number 25, we're going to do a, and after that open D, we did the first 3 measures, we went to this C, but here we're going to go to 1 and slide up to 2, like so. So it's going to sound like so. Measure from measure 23 through measure number 25 is going to be, see C, going back to the C for the last note again. Now here, and then this is going to slide from 1 to 2, and now we're in measure number 26. And measure number 26 sounds like so. Now that's kind of a really neat lick all in itself. You have a, I like that open 3, open 3. That's kind of a neat little answer call type thing going on there. So let's go ahead and play through measure 23 through measure 26. So moving to the next 4 measures of the D part here, we're going to do exactly the same thing as we did in measure 23, 24, and 25, except in measure 27, 28, and 29, we're going to do the same thing, but in measure number 29, we have a different little run here that's going to turn this thing around to repeat it again. And measure 29 is going to sound like so. 1, so 2, open, 2, 4, open, 2, open, 2. So, all right, 2, open, 2, 4, open, 2, open, 2. The first ending, or measure number 30, is going to sound like so. Open, 2, open, 2, 3. Open, 2, open, 2, 3. And at the end of the first ending, you're going to have the little to start over the lick again. You'll have, so when you get to the first ending, it's like, and you start over. That's how you get back and start it over again. All right, so let's go ahead and play through the whole D part of this tune. So 1, 2, ready, go. Change. Here comes the run. Slide from 1. Alright, well there you have all 4 parts of Hangman's Reel. Well, let me go ahead and play through this slowly one time, and that'll be a wrap on this tune. So 1, 2, you know what to do. have the Hangman's Reel. Let me tell you, this is one heck of a tune. I'm not going to lie to you, it is not easy. It's going to take you a little bit of time to learn. Make sure you're very patient with yourself. Take it one section at a time, and make sure you can play the A section properly, note for note, then move on to the B section. Make sure you can play that note for note, and so on through this song until you can get through all 4 parts. Once you get done with all 4 parts of this, I would recommend setting a metronome or whatever backing software you have and play along with this slowly until you can get through it all and gradually increase your speed. This is one of those challenging songs that's definitely something you're not going to learn overnight. It'll probably take you a good little while. You know, even at my level of playing, it took me a couple days to straighten this thing out to where I felt like I could get through it remotely okay. I'm by no means very proficient at playing this tune like the master himself, Bryan Sutton. If I can get through it, you can get through it too. All right, well, that's a wrap on this tune. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you have any questions for me, feel free to send me an email in the description listed below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll be seeing you down the road.